Hey guys, welcome to Real Marathon. In this video, we're going to take a look at the Fractal Design's new AIO, the Lumen S24 RGB. Is it easy to install and how well does it really perform? Let's find out. The Lumen AIO series is Fractal Design's new entry for the beginner as well as the first-time PC builder. It comes in 3 sizes, the S24, the S28 and the S36, and has 2 variants, non-RGB as well as RGB. We're going to cool an AMD Ryzen 9 5900X inside our MSI X570 Unify, default fan curves as well as inside the Lancool 2 mesh PC case. If you're interested, I've also included the other PC parts in the description box below. You can purchase some of the PC parts using our affiliate links. And these are the results. Going up against the EK240 d-rgb and the Cryorig H7 for good measure, the Lumen S24 runs at an average of 52 degrees at idle, peaking at 62 with 61.7 degrees average for EK and 47.8 for the H7. Next, to push these coolers, we are going to bring AIDA64 and Cinebench R23. For this test, we have set our CPU PPT limit to 160 watts. The Lumen S24 runs at an average of 70 to 71 degrees, peaking at almost 80 degrees while managing to reach and maintain our set CPU PPT of 160 watts. The EK240 also runs at an average of 70 to 72 degrees, peaking at 80.5 degrees, 160 watt CPU PPT. On the other hand, even though the H7 is slightly cooler with an average of 69, it burns up at a peak of 90 degrees and is not able to reach the 160 watt CPU PPT. On Cinebench R23, the Lumen S24 does an average of 71.7 degrees, peaking at 75 degrees. EK240's average is 71.4, peaking at almost 76 degrees. For the Cryorig H7 is hotter, the both of them at an average of 76.6 and peaking at a very hot 91.1 degrees. If you guys also want to know how loud or how soft it runs, I will tell you it's soft, but unfortunately I don't have the actual equipment to test the sound for all 3 coolers, but it's soft. If you want to allow me to have such equipment, make sure to subscribe to our channel, grow our channel, and perhaps I'll be able to purchase this equipment to test the sound. Then now let's take a look at some of the features that we think are pretty cool and some things that we may not like about the S24. Okay, first things first, the pump is now relocated on the radiator instead of the water block. Advantage number 1, the Lumen S24 can have a very powerful pump that runs at 4000 RPM. And even though the pump runs at 4000 RPM, the amount of noise and vibration is limited because the pump is now on the radiator. Advantage number 2, if you have seen Gamer Nexus's video on AIO orientation, unlike other AIOs, because of how now that the pump is on the radiator, it creates a flow where you may be able to bottom mount your radiator on the bottom of your case. We have not tried this, but if you are planning to try this, you can write down in the comments and let us know. Perhaps we may do so in our mini ITX case such as the TechWare case over there. Of course, with advantages, there will be disadvantages, which brings us to the first disadvantage. Having the pump on the radiator means now you have a smaller surface area for the radiator compared to other AIOs. So this means that there may be a lower efficiency for heat dissipation because the pump now occupies a certain square on the radiator. And advantage number 2, the wire on the pump comes out of the radiator instead of the water block. If you are a wire management guru, this may be a minor annoyance to you, I don't know, but yeah, you can let me know also. And there's one more thing. I don't get why the LED strip header has to be on the water block like that. When you plug the wire in, it does not feel snug and it can be an obstacle when you're going to latch the water block on the CPU socket. You can see how easily the wire pops out, and it also took me a great while to put it back in after I latched the water block onto the CPU socket. Also, another advantage is the S24 uses 2 2000 RPM fans. Very good heat dissipation, very good performance for this price range, and also it's not very noisy as similar to the pump. If you're planning to buy this Lumen S24, the installation is pretty simple. It comes pre-attached with an Intel bracket. If you are using AMD CPU like us, make sure to switch to AM4 bracket. Pulling out and installing a new bracket is very simple, as you can see from what we are doing. Yeah, you have to use 8 of these mounting screws to fit onto the fans onto the radiator. You can also see how we're going to do it. and it comes with its fan connectors and ARGB connectors. Make sure to connect all of them. You can see the video, we daisy chain all of them because we already preset in our Lancool cool mesh. The pump, make sure to connect to the pump header, and your fans connect to your CPU header on your motherboard. So I'm not so used to plugging this kind of AIO because of the latch design, but actually it's pretty simple. Just make sure that you give some space in between the two latches before you plug in it, because you want to make sure there's enough, what do you call that, balance? Play to actually move around. Yeah, so you can hook it up better. There's pre-applied thermal paste on the water block, so if you are using this for the first time, you don't have to put your own thermal paste. But as you can see, we have totally ripped our the copper head is pretty dented and pretty burnt. We have to keep using our own thermal paste, so yeah, make sure to take note of that. RGB, okay, it looks pretty nice. You can control it using the MSI Mystic Light software because we are using MSI motherboard. If you are using your Asus motherboard, you can use Aura Sync and the other kind of like RGB softwares that you are using for your motherboard brands. Yeah, you can even plug out the, what do you call that? Oh, the top cover to change the orientation of the water block head. For the first time we used it, we thought it's actually quite loose, but actually it's not. So you have to like turn it and pop it in and pop it back in. So mentioned before, the wire is quite difficult to put back. I hope it doesn't pop out easily when we are moving the case around. Alright, right now, so we are going to address the elephant in the room, the price. The Lumen S24 is 188 Singapore dollars, which brings about 130 US dollars. The EK240 is about 179 SGD, right?
Yep.
Okay, and Cryorig H7, never mind, because it's very throttled.
But it's 65 bucks!
Yeah, 65 bucks. Okay, so with that, you may be asking which cooler are we actually going to choose for this battle of coolers? It's a very tough decision because you can see from our numbers, the two coolers actually run pretty similar. I mean, for the additional $8, Gordon, what would you choose?
Well,
okay, wait, come in first, yeah.
Honestly speaking, 179 versus 188. You're right, it's a very tough choice.
For me right now, you prefer a round head versus the EK square head.
The block, yeah, yep.
Also, another thing is, based on installation, I think the EK is actually easier to install than the Lumen S24 because it uses the ADATA kind of pump rather than this.
Yeah, the EK uses like the four
prongs,
especially for AM4 mount. This one uses the
latch system.
The two screw latch systems, which a lot of other AIOs use, which can be a little bit frustrating for first-time builders, especially like
yeah. Thing is, this guy is 179 and it actually is easier to install. I would choose the K240.
But that's not to dismiss this guy. I would say this guy probably does have some advantages in some places. Yeah, I think he did do a video where he did test on the AZTEC AIOs, where you know those guys usually have the pump on the CPU block, much like the EK.
Correct.
Yeah. On those situations where he mentioned that AZTEC AIOs actually suffer quite badly because the pump is here and the radiator is here.
Yeah.
However, since for this guy, if you were to put it in this position, the pump is actually now here. And it's actually pumped upwards.
Yeah.
In this situation, the S24 would have a big advantage over traditional CPU block mounted pump design like the EK.
Yeah, okay.
But other than that situation, it's a tough call.
Yeah, and because this is not a sponsored video by Fractal Design, so we can choose which cooler we want. Okay, so with that, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to come back to our channel because the next video either going to put it inside our Fractal Design case or we're going to do a giant AIO cooler comparison. With that, thank you very much and goodbye.